Oh. So, what's it like? Well, I think the best way to do it is to show you. There's no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. This bike is a race bike in an adventure body. Let's just calm it down a bit, shove it into third, and let's talk about the bike. So, the Ducati Multistrada, basically Ducati's adventure touring bike, or whatever that means nowadays, because adventure touring bikes now are becoming so popular in the market, so popular that even the sports bike person has a little look little look at them. For a long time I thought adventure bikes, they're a bit wallowy, a bit crappy, they're a bit boring, a bit old man. But actually, adventure bikes nowadays are starting to get really good, and this is a fine example of the breed. What? So the Multistrada, since 2008 or 9, whenever they brought it out, 8, 9, 10, something like that. It's been out for about 5 years, the actual model itself from Ducati. It's been all about an adventure bike that's a bit more sporty and a bit more road orientated. They've never really been trying to target the enduro market. I mean, there's no reason why. Oh my god. There's no reason why the enduro market would really go anywhere near this bike. It's not really built for them. What it's built for is a cross-continental missile. That's how I see this bike. And on weekends you can go out and have a nice ride, and I tell you what, on country roads this thing is astonishing. And Ducati have basically made this recipe, and there wasn't many bikes that really did the same. And it was a bit of a gamble really from Ducati, because not many people enter markets that don't exist, and not many people try to make a bike that doesn't already have a market. So it was very brave, but boy has it paid off, because this bike has outsold everything else from Ducati. Everything. 1299, 1199, 899, Hypermotars, Hyperstradas, Ducati Monsters. This thing has just outsold a lot of them. It's nuts. Everyone wants a Multistrada from Ducati. And so I had to find out why. I had to find out what it is that makes this bike so good. Why are people going away from their commuting stroke super naked bikes and going towards something like this? And it doesn't take you long to figure out why. So they do 3 models for 2015, which is the Multistrada 1200, the Multistrada 1200s, and the Multistrada 1200s. Oh my god! It's a missile. The 1200s DG Air, which I believe has like a system built into the bike where you buy a certain jacket and it's like an airbag in the jacket. Anyway, that's just well, it's not stupid, but I wouldn't personally buy it. This is the 1200s, and this is the model I think everyone will buy. Now, the reason it's called the S is it's got heated grips that come as standard on the S, and it's also got this beautiful colour display. Oh, it's so nice. It does vibrate a lot, but that's partly to do with the V-twin engine. And it's got Skyhook semi-active suspension, which means it doesn't matter what road surface you're on, this thing just feels plush. And I've had the bike for about half an hour to an hour now, and I've gone through some country roads in the south of Kent, over bumps, over drain hole covers, over little patches of damp from the mist that rolled in overnight, and it just doesn't seem to get unsettled by any of it. It just fills you with confidence. Within minutes of being on the bike, you just get this amazing confidence. It feels like you've just got the best tyres in the world. That's the only way I can describe it. The Multistrada also comes with M50 Brembo calipers, so it stops, and it stops really well. But the most talked about thing on this bike has to be the engine. Now, Ducati have installed what they call the DVT system on this bike, which is a desmodronic valve timing. And it means that this thing, in any gear, in any RPM, picks up and sods off. It is ballistically quick. It's not the only good thing about having the DVT system on your bike. The DVT actually is built for smoothing out the curve, smoothing out the torque curve, because what it does, and what older bikes couldn't do, was vary valve timing. And the difference of varying your valve timing at higher speed means that you can get punch and power. But at lower speeds, you don't want that. You want minimal valve overlap, you want it to be smooth and silky, but you want that top end grunt as well. And so with a standard system, you couldn't have both. You couldn't have both ways of doing it. But in this bike, you can. And it means that this 240 kilo bike just goes like a rocket. It is astonishingly fast. Oh, it is truly amazing to think I am on something like an adventure bike. It just doesn't feel like one. The engine is so lively. Right, so here it is. This is the Multistrada. It's caked in shit at the moment, but it's a gorgeous bike. You know, even when it's like dirty, it looks fantastic. It's a personal preference, I think, with this bike, because you look at it and yeah, it's not the prettiest Ducati on the market, but you've got to remember that this is an adventure bike, and so for an adventure bike, it looks astonishing. Obviously, I've talked about the engine, but that's just half of this bike. So, down here on the left-hand side, I have my cruise control, which I can set. And there you go. Look at that! I've never had that before. That's a novelty for me. As well as cruise control, you get heated grips, and you also get the modes. Now the modes are quite cool. So go on the menu, and what you can do is down there you can see there's touring, sports, urban and enduro. But what I really wanted to get a feel for today was how the Multistrada is out of town, and it's incredible. It's so good. I mean, I was racking up so many miles, I actually forgot that I had to turn round at some point, and I ended up going all the way down to the coast. And this is what this bike is built for, hammering it through the countryside and storming it down motorways. That's why I say this bike is the perfect tourer, because you just get these thrills on country roads that you don't really get from proper touring bikes. It's got the engine of a superbike. I mean, you're just looking at it and you keep having to look down and remind yourself what you're riding. You're looking at it going, what? It's impossibly good. they've managed to capture that Ducati character, but in such a usable and sensible package. You've got that fantastic Bosch ABS system, which I haven't even talked about, which is a cornering ABS system, so it actually monitors your lean angle. And determines how much brake to apply to the front and rear wheel to keep you upright, essentially. But what I love about all the electronics on the bike is that they don't feel like they've interfered with it. You know, this has got so many gizmos on it. You know, when you start up, you see all the warning lights on the dash and you're just like, oh my god, so much electronics. And half of me is worried because you sort of look at that and you go, well, those could all go wrong. And that sort of worries me. It doesn't feel like the electronics have ruined this bike. It feels like, and it doesn't feel like they're the be all and end all. I just like that. I like the way the electronics are so hidden. You know, they feel hidden in this bike. And I think Ducati have really nailed the electronics on this bike. Really nailed it. Because I don't feel like I'm riding a bike that has got electronic control. But I feel like I'm riding a bike that is properly sorted. Because this bike can put just as big a grin, if not bigger, than a sports bike. It can put just as big a grin as a sports bike. And I think for Ducati, that's the biggest compliment I can give. You know, people are so adamant that sports bikes are the ones that put the biggest smiles on your face and, you know, they're the best bang for buck. But this thing, I mean, this is a laugh. This is a proper laugh, this bike. It's just, I mean, it's proper raw, but refined. This bike has been tuned so well that you can decide what you want out of it. You know, if you want just the touring bit, shove it in touring mode. Leave it in touring mode. I mean, it's so fast in touring mode, you probably won't even want to shove it in sport. That's touring mode acceleration. I mean, it is still proper quick. But if you want to, you can flick it into sport mode and just go ballistic. Do you need any other bike? And that semi-active suspension just keeps you planted the whole time. This screen's very good as well, actually. So there's so many things on it I haven't even talked about that you just you just ignore everything else. This bike could be bare bones as a touring bike and you'd still want to buy it. It could have nothing on it and you'd still want it. You'd still want to ride it. You still want to feel that DVT! Ah! Oh god, it's really good. It's so impressive. And you're perfectly protected. I'm 6 foot ish, 6 foot, something like that. Wind protection with the screen fully up, and then push it all the way down for fully down. If I keep it all the way up, perfect wind protection, not a problem at all. I think my camera's sticking out on top of the helmet, so I'm getting a slight bit of vibration, but without a camera on, this would be fine. You know, I can't feel anything on my face, can feel no wind on my face at all. And the bars, lovely reach to the bars. It's so comfortable. The seat is like a sofa. It is creasing slightly, so I don't know if that's like a bad quality sort of seat, but it is slightly creasing. I don't know if they set like a soft, very soft seat on this, but this is really plush, this one. It's also got adjustable seat height, about 20 mil in adjustment of seat height, at around 830 mil. So it's got a good, it's really, really good height for the seat. I mean, I'm 6 foot and my feet easily touch the ground. Once you're on it. Oh, God! It is super bike performance. In this, look at it. How have you made this, Ducati? It's almost like Ducati said to its engineers when drunk one day, I tell you what we're gonna do. We're going to put a superbike engine in a big and they're like, ma che cosa? Like, why? What are you doing? And they're like, it will be funny and we'll see if we can sell it. And you know what? That gamble, that drunken, stupid, immature, brilliant, fantastic, beautiful company that Ducati is, they're on to a proper winner. It is beautiful.